Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne. Okay, okay, it's not just Saw. I took a fair amount of time to watch Rebels Season 2. If you saw my review of Season 1, I was not the biggest fan of it, but I was already a little optimistic because I started a little bit of Season 2 at the end of that. I'm like, all right, maybe let's get better. And I did really like this season a lot more, but it's funny. So you'll notice I have like a little episode list here because I did take a break in between. I went on vacation watching it. So it's one of those where I remember it starting out really strong and ending really strong. I remember everything else being okay. I was like, yeah, what else happened in this season? I was going through these episodes again, just like, all right, no, fair amount, okay. So I don't remember too much in this being like super, super bad. There's only like a handful of things where I'm kind of like, too, but nothing like in the first season where a lot of it I just was not getting into it, apart from, one or two little elements. Where this one I was getting into it a lot more. The characters were really feeling like okay, I feel like I know these people now and I'm comfortable with them. I want to know what's going to happen to them. For the most part. So, okay, I'll talk about the great things first. I mean, it probably goes without saying, everything with Ahsoka, with Vader. Goddamn, I think Darth Maul's now like my favorite character in Star Wars. Like, he went from just nothing to me. Like in Phantom Menace, like he looked cool, he could fight cool, but like that was it. There was nothing to him, to like one of the most fascinating characters. Like he just goes through so much in this world, and he's so fascinating, and he has such this layered history, and then they just keep making him more and more interesting. I mean, just this amazing journey. And the only one that was close was Ventress, who was from the same planet and everything, but I think just because they give him more in the series and everything, I'm like, all right, no, this is like one of the most fascinating characters in all of Star Wars. So I think that's really, really saying something. Again, just going from someone that, was just a throwaway bodyguard to like suddenly this really fascinating, complex, layered character. All the other characters, for the most part, they did grow on me a lot more. There's two that really don't still for me, and you're gonna be like, what? Because I'm sure as the series goes on, I'll grow more attached to them. But one is the little robot, is a Chomper. See, I don't even remember his name. The characters I really don't care for. I usually don't remember their names. His voice is just so grating to me. Just so annoying to me. I love the idea of a cynical robot. I always like when Star Wars does something like that. Like I love the robot in Rogue One. I thought that was a lot of fun. But this thing, maybe if they changed the voice, if they just made it some beeps or they made a more pleasant sound, but I couldn't stand listening to them. And then, I'm sorry, man, the Jedi, I still don't like him, man. He is so nothing to me. He is just the most bland, generic teacher. He looks bland. He sounds bland. He just has very generic sayings. I hate it when they meet up with the clones. He's like, oh, I don't trust them, man, which makes sense. I mean, like, his whole, group of people are wiped out because of the clones, so I get it. And this should be interesting, and a part of me almost likes that. It's not like, oh, he gets over it in one episode. Like, it stretches out. This is a very difficult thing to get over. And if I like this character, I would really find that fascinating, but I'm just like, all right, can we just get to the point where you trust him now? Because we just know you're going to get there. Him teaching Ezra, who, he's like, yeah, I never did get the do or do not exactly. I mean, how does that work? I'm like, oh my God, I don't like this guy. I'm saying, you know what? I bet that's going to change, because when you get to the ending of this, and I think the spoilers are allowed in this. I mean, I'm talking about season 2. When you get to the ending, you see like his eyesight is sacrificed. I don't know if he's going to get back or what. I mean, it's like, okay, that's a very selfless thing to do. But he doesn't leave an impact on me at all. Like, I don't know. The Jedi are like so interesting, and there's so many different philosophies and stuff, and this just seems like a background Jedi. Like, he just seems like a Jedi that get killed in Order 66. Like, okay, he's just one of them. So I'm sorry, because I know apparently he's like a fan favorite, and I'm wondering if as this show goes on, if I'm gonna like him more, because a lot of these characters I've learned to like a lot more. But yeah, as of now, he still does nothing for me. Ezra was always a blank slate. I mean, he was always supposed to be like Aladdin and stuff like that. Like, he's supposed to be the one that, is supposed to be taught. He's supposed to discover. He's supposed to be kind of the wisecracker to and everything. And he's still okay. I never disliked him. I didn't like him either, though. Again, it was very clear what he was. The only thing I go back and forth on it because they're building up at the end of this, like, yeah, well, he might be a part of the dark side. He might lean towards the dark side. And I'm thinking, no, he's not. They're not going to do that. But I do feel like what they could do, and I'm okay with this, is they might have it where he's sort of debating, like he might have some things that he agrees with on the dark side, so he might be tempted a lot more, and he might even do things like on the dark side, but he's not gonna go full Sith. I mean, unless that'd be like a phenomenal twist, but it's like, I just can't see that happening. So I still like that it's there, because I like those kind of twists in stories. With the original Star Wars, I didn't have much fear that Luke was going to go to the dark side, but it is one of those things where it's like, well, Star Wars isn't like a defined franchise yet. It was still like you had this trilogy. It was a part 1, 2, and 3. So it seemed unlikely, but it's like, maybe that's part of it. It could pull this big surprise. But at this point, you kind of know how these stories work and where it's going to go. So I'd be hugely surprised if they did that, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think, especially with Disney involved, they wouldn't throw their main character into that. I forget her name too. The Mandalore character, the graffiti artist. She wasn't doing that. I didn't dislike her, but I wasn't really getting into her either until the episode where they go to, like, I think it was to Mandalore, and she has like this person she's trying to get revenge on and stuff, and they're sort of bargaining as well. And, like, she became really interesting in that episode. And I like the idea of one of them being a graffiti artist. I just wish I liked the artwork more. It just, again, it's another thing, it doesn't grab me at all, and I'm just like, because I love graffiti art. I love it when you're driving, you just see like this incredible stuff done like on the side of buildings and stuff like that, but, yeah, they look pretty. It looks like something you would like design your controller, like your game controller, like a very boring game controller design for it that you put on there, like the little stickers you put on there, but I digress. What else? The stuff with, obviously Vader, and I love the way they incorporate, first of all, that is James Earl Jones, holy shit! That is just so chilling when you have this Ahsoka story where she's gonna meet up with Vader again, and it's James Earl Jones's voice. Like, that just adds so much more weight to it. Where, again, I was thinking, did they get someone to impersonate him? Man, it really sounded like him. So the fact that it's really him just adds so much more of, like, a chill factor, because you just know, like, so much time has passed, and you know what Darth Vader is like, with Luke Skywalker and all that stuff. You're so used to that character as an iconic character, so to see, like, that version of Anakin Skywalker interacting with Ahsoka, with the Darth Vader writing, not necessarily prequel Anakin writing, was pretty chilling. And I love the way they incorporated the Anakin voice at the end, with the mask being damaged and some of his eye is showing through there. And yeah, this is sadly where, because she's gonna appear in other stuff, it's not as suspenseful, but I'm still really curious what happened at that big fight at the end with Vader walking away. He's all scratched up, but Ahsoka doesn't, and then that little owl, mouse, whatever that was, flies into the cave where Ahsoka presumably is. So, did he kill her? Is she gonna come back to life? I mean, like, whatever's going on, she's gonna walk out of there still. She's gonna be okay and be in other stuff. But it still has me going, man, yeah, well, what happened there? And the dialogue between them was great. The stuff with the Sith Temple was so cool. Again, Darth Maul was so great. I just love following this guy through this journey, and, like, he seems to change both for better or worse all the time. And I guess it is one of the few things that made me look at Rise of Skywalker and say, oh, that's where that came from. Okay, didn't make it any better, but it was still neat to see, oh, like that's where some of these devices come from, and like the Sith Temple and everything, so that was pretty neat. Let me look through real fast the other stuff. Oh, the Princess Leia episode, was alright. There's always a part of me, it's like, okay, it's pretty cool seeing her in there and knowing like how she played a part in helping the rebellion, stuff like that, but it is also one of those things where it's like, okay, I didn't need it. These characters are just starting to hold their own, okay? I love the episode where the purple dude is stranded with the guy from the Empire. I love episodes like that where two people from opposing sides are stuck together, they don't have any weapons, and somehow they have to survive. I love episodes like that. And that guy who worked in the Empire, I don't remember his name, but I was just like, he wasn't a very interesting villain to me, so having him there did make him more interesting. I really felt like a lot of this season was just them trying to fix the problems of the first season, and I'm very okay with that. And I think it took me a while too for the captain to realize she's the kid from the Clone Wars episode, right? There's one of those episodes where they're saving the planet with all the long-eared bunny people, and there's like a little green kid they were focusing on. I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if they're gonna do something with that character later in Clone Wars, and they never did, and I'm just like, that's probably her, isn't it? Like, I haven't looked it up yet. It's a huge missed opportunity if not, but it's like I'm looking at this like, you know what, I think that is. But I like the episode with her father as well, and again, just sort of different ideologies, trying to work together, also trying to work against each other sometimes, so I did enjoy that. So yes, overall this season, I'm looking to see if there's any other scenes here that's just like, ooh, that. Yeah, no, I think those are all the big ones that I'm looking at here. I did really enjoy it. I think I brought up, maybe I brought up in the last season, I can't remember. The only issue I kind of have, it's really a nitpick, is that with Ahsoka's character, I feel like because when she starts out, she's like a kid in Clone Wars, and yes, you're supposed to see her get older, and by the end, I mean, I don't know, she's like college age or something like that. I'm not sure how she's supposed to be. But by here, she's a woman. She's a grown-up. And I really feel like the actress should have done just something different to her voice. I'm not saying necessarily like make it deeper or something like that, but like something must have been different, because I'm sure that's the actress's voice. Don't get me wrong. But if the idea is like she's supposed to grow up, she's supposed to get older, I feel like the voice should change a little bit, because it is strange when you see her, she's grown up, she's mature, but the exact same voice from where you first saw her, like in that Clone Wars movie, that is a little odd. So I'm not saying it necessarily has to get lower, but something should have changed a little bit, I feel like, with that. Like that's my only nitpick with the Ahsoka character, because everything else, with that and Vader and all the sort of callbacks to Clone Wars and stuff, seeing the clones again, all of that, I was pretty okay with, but it didn't feel like, well, it's only relying on that. The characters, for the most part, have evolved pretty well, enough where I want to know what's going to happen to them, where in the first season I really didn't care if they got out or not. I really do like them. I'm on board with them now. I want to see where it goes in seasons 3 and 4. I know Thrawn is going to be in here somewhere, because they post his face all over the advertising when it's on Disney+, so I'm amazed this is 4 seasons, this is season 2, and we haven't gotten to him yet, so I'm really excited to see what they do with that. Oh, and the Inquisitors, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up. I really like that there's 2 of them now. It looks like there's probably a lot more. I'm sure we're going to find out more about them. But they were pretty cool, because that was the one character in the first season. I'm like, oh, I like the Inquisitor. I can't believe they got rid of him. But now there's 2 of them, and they work very well together. And we see a 3rd one at the end as well, so God knows how many there are. It was cool seeing the Obi-Wan trailer and being like, I know what that is. I know that's an Inquisitor. So it's fun learning more and more about it. Yeah, so I'm on board now. I'm excited to see season 3. It isn't just something where I have to kind of, be dragged through it. It is something where it's like, no, if I didn't have to do this as a job, I would still want to watch this show now. Where with season 1, I'd probably be like, add to it. But after watching season 2, yes, I would want to keep watching the show, even if I didn't have to. So with that said, what'd you all think of season 2? Did you think it was better than the first season? Did you feel like it dropped the ball? Did you feel like the Clone Wars references were really cool? Or did you feel like there were too many of them? I'd love to know your thoughts on it, and I will just see you next time. Take care.